I imagine those who know me would often describe me as positive or optimistic, and I understand why. However, I don't think those accurately describe me. Both of those terms are inaccurate about me and can be harmful for us. So today, I want to unpack the differences between positivity, optimism, and hopeful, and how leaders like you can practice hope to create better tomorrows for us all. These terms, positivity, optimism, and hope, often get used interchangeably and wrong. As leaders, as we're working to build better tomorrows in our lives, our organizations, and our world, it requires us to be clear-eyed about the challenges, the problems, and the adversity that we face, and a belief that something better is possible, and what we can do to work toward being a part of that. That's not positivity or optimism. That's hope. Let's unpack each of these terms and share a little bit about how you can put this into practice in your leadership. Positivity is things are good. Positivity over negativity seems like an easy win. We might think about all the negativity in the news or the conversations, and seeing what is working is really helpful. However, the dark side is when we just say things are good when they're not, we're pretending. It ignores reality. It can be really unhelpful. It can even be gaslighting, where people are experiencing harm from someone else and we're saying, no, you're not. Things are great. It can lead to victim blaming and can be insensitive and really troubling and problematic. A quote I love from Maria Popova, who writes The Marginalian, formerly Brain Pickings: critical thinking without hope is cynicism. Hope without critical thinking is naivete. We want to avoid that. Optimism says this will be good in the future. Now, pessimism and optimism seem like opposites, but they share one thing, and that's fatalism. So pessimism says no matter what happens, things are going to be awful. So it doesn't matter what we do, they're just going to be awful. That's fatalism. Optimism says things are going to work out great. And that also is fatalism. Doesn't matter what we do, things are just going to turn out great. That fatalism is the problem. It justifies our disengagement and complacency. Viktor Frankl, who is a psychologist and Holocaust survivor, said, "Give me sober activism anytime rather than rose-tinted fatalism." This brings us to hope. Hope says good is possible and I can make a difference. When I was a junior in college, I got to hear Cornel West speak. He's a brilliant scholar of many things, particularly an expert on race and racism, and he was speaking about race and racism in the U.S. He ended his talk, which I heard more than 20 years ago and still remember, by saying, "I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful." He explained that optimism required evidence that things are getting better, and he didn't see that evidence. He explained that hope doesn't require evidence. It is a spiritual leap of faith that says we can join together and make tomorrow better than today. I also love the definition of hope from Shane Lopez, who wrote Making Hope Happen, a great book about hope. He died from cancer, tragically, at a pretty young age. And Lopez defines hope as the belief that tomorrow can be better than today, and I can play a role in making it so. That doesn't mean it's all my responsibility, but there's a role for me to play. That might be 90% or 50% or 1%. But what is the role I can play in making tomorrow better than today? It's that belief plus agency is how he defines it. And some of you might have heard of critical hope. I love the book Critical Hope from Kari Grain, originated with Brazilian educator Paulo Freire, Jeffrey Duncan Andrade. There are other scholars doing this. Michelino Zemblas out of South Africa, an anti-apartheid scholar. And critical hope adds this notion of a very critical view of reality, oftentimes focused on an equity analysis, but we might also think of many different critical analysis as well. So critical hope is the combination of reality plus possibility plus responsibility. The way that I think about this is that hope isn't an emotion that we passively feel or a circumstance we await. I don't wait until I wake up feeling hopeful, and I certainly don't look to the news to tell me when I can be hopeful. For me, hope is a practice. It's a discipline to cultivate within myself. And when I am inflated by optimism or positivity, when maybe I'm losing my connection to reality and just want to see things with those rose-tinted glasses, I ground myself in reality, examining the deeper truths that my experience or my privilege might obscure. And when I'm really discouraged by pessimism or despair, hope helps me cultivate an imagination of what could be better and exploring where I can make a difference. It really puts my focus on where I can contribute, where I have a difference I can make, and putting my focus there rather than where I'm helpless or powerless. I think this is a spiritual practice, staying connected to reality, open to possibility, and committed to taking transformative action. I mentioned a quote from Maria Popova earlier. Another one of hers I love in this realm is to live with hope in times that reward cynicism is a tremendous act of courage and resistance. And in these times, I'm leaning into hope. I'd love to hear how you're practicing hope and how you're leading with hope. So share thoughts in the comments, send me an email. I'd love to connect with you. I think cultivating this practice of hope and building hope in others that is connected to reality, sees better possibilities, and sees the role that we can be in that is so absolutely critical in our organizations, in our lives, and our society as a whole. And if I can help you and your teams and your leadership teams develop the practices of hope, let's connect.